You slip through the service entrance at exactly midnight, the way you've done for 3 years now. The kitchen of Baekchung is silent, except for the hum of the walk-in cooler and the distant rumble of Seoul traffic beyond the alley. Your apron hangs where you left it, and the prep stations gleam under the industrial lights. This is your church, your studio, the place where everything makes sense. Tonight, though, something is different. There's a man sitting at the far counter, the one by the window that overlooks the narrow courtyard. His back is to you, shoulders hunched inside an oversized black hoodie pulled low. His hands cradle an empty ceramic cup. He shouldn't be here. The restaurant closed 4 hours ago. You move quietly, reaching for your phone, but then he turns slightly, and you catch his profile in the dim light filtering through the courtyard door. Even in shadow, even with exhaustion carved into every line of his face, you recognize him. Park Jinna, the Jinna, lead vocalist of Eclipse, the group that's been on every screen in Seoul for the past 2 years. You've seen his face on billboards, on the sides of buses, in the hands of teenage girls crowding the subway. But here, now, he looks nothing like those images. He looks like someone who's forgotten how to sleep. He notices you noticing him. His eyes widen, then immediately drop. "I'm sorry," he says, his voice rough and quiet. "I didn't think anyone would be here. The door was unlocked." You should call someone. You should ask him to leave. Instead, you find yourself saying, "You look hungry." He blinks, surprised. I don't want to be any trouble." "Too late for that," you say, but your tone is gentle. You cross to the main prep station and flip on the overhead lights above your workspace, leaving the rest of the kitchen in half shadow. You broke into a restaurant at midnight. The least you can do is let me feed you. A ghost of a smile crosses his face. Is it still breaking in if the door was open? Depends on whether you eat what I make. You pull eggs from the cooler, scallions, gochugaru, sesame oil. Your hands move through the familiar choreography. How did you find this place? "I used to come here," he says quietly. "Before everything, when I was just a trainee with no money. The owner, she let me wash dishes for a meal sometimes." You crack eggs into a bowl. "Mrs. Shin retired last year. I bought the restaurant from her." "I didn't know." He's watching your hands now, the way you move through the space. "You run this place alone?" "I have staff during regular hours, but midnight is mine. I test recipes, think, breathe." The kitchen fills with the sound of eggs meeting hot oil, the sizzle and pop that always feels like homecoming. You add the scallions, a precise shake of gochugaru, a whisper of sesame at the end. The omelet folds perfectly, golden and tender. You plate it with kimchi and a small bowl of rice. Set it in front of him with clean chopsticks. He stares at the plate like it might disappear. "Eat," you say. He does. The first bite seems to undo something in him. His shoulders drop, his breathing slows. He eats carefully, methodically, like someone who hasn't had a real meal in days. Probably hasn't. You brew tea while he finishes, the good stuff you keep in the back for yourself. Bosong green tea, spring harvest. When you set the cup in front of him, steam rises between you like a question neither of you knows how to ask. "Thank you," he says, finally. "I can't remember the last time someone just fed me without wanting something." "Everyone wants something," you say, leaning against the counter across from him. "I want you to tell me why you look like you haven't slept in a week." He laughs, but it's hollow. "Is it that obvious?" You're sitting in a closed restaurant at midnight, eating an omelet like it's the first kind thing anyone's done for you in months. So yes. He cups the tea in both hands, letting the warmth seep into his palms. Outside, rain begins to tap against the courtyard window. You should call him. You should ask him to leave. Instead, you find yourself saying, "Do you follow the news? Celebrity news?" "Not if I can help it." Smart. He takes a slow sip. "There are photos of me leaving a hotel with someone. The articles say we're dating. They say all kinds of things. You wait. You've learned that silence is often the best invitation." "She's my cousin," he says quietly. "She lives in Busan. She came to Seoul for treatment, for her daughter, cancer." His voice cracks slightly on the word. "I helped her find doctors, paid for a hotel near the hospital, and someone saw us. And now the entire country thinks I'm having a secret affair. And my management is furious because it breaks the image. And I can't tell anyone the truth because she doesn't want the media near her daughter, and I..." He stops, sets down the tea. His hands are shaking. "And you're tired of being looked at but never seen," you finish softly. He meets your eyes and something passes between you. Recognition, relief. "Yes," he breathes. The rain picks up, a steady rhythm against glass and metal. You should send him home. You should distance yourself from whatever storm is swirling around him. But instead you hear yourself saying, "Can you dice onions?" He blinks, surprised. I have prep work. You said you used to wash dishes here. Can you dice onions?" A real smile, small but genuine. "I think so." You set him up at a station with a cutting board, a knife, a pile of onions. You work beside him in comfortable silence, your hands moving through their own tasks, muscle memory, and meditation. He's clumsy at first, but he finds a rhythm. The kitchen fills with the sharp bite of onion and the soft percussion of knife on board. "This is nice," he says after a while. No one watching, no one taking pictures, just work. "That's why I come here at midnight," you tell him. The world gets smaller, quieter. Just you set him up at a station with a cutting board, a knife, a pile of onions. You work beside him in comfortable silence, your hands moving through their own tasks, muscle memory and meditation. He's clumsy at first, but he finds a rhythm. The kitchen fills with the sharp bite of onion and the soft percussion of knife on board. "This is nice," he says after a while. No one watching, no one taking pictures, just work. "That's why I come here at midnight," you tell him. The world gets smaller, quieter. Just you and the knife and the onion. Nothing else matters. "Do you mind if I come back?" The question is tentative, almost shy. Not every night, just when it gets too loud out there. You should say no. You should protect your space, your peace, your carefully constructed solitude. But when you look at him, you see something you recognize. Someone who's been performing for so long they've forgotten what it feels like to just exist. "The door will be unlocked," you say. "Midnight. Don't make me regret this." "I won't," he promises. He stays another hour, helping you prep vegetables, washing dishes with the care of someone who remembers what it meant to earn a meal this way. When he finally pulls his hood back up and moves toward the door, he pauses. "I don't even know your name," he says. You smile. "You can call me Chef." "Chef," he repeats, testing the word. "Okay, thank you, Chef, for the meal, for this." "Go home, Jinha. Get some sleep." He nods and slips out into the rain. You watch through the courtyard window as he disappears into the Seoul night. Just another shadow in a city full of them. You clean your station, store the prepped vegetables, lock the door properly this time. But as you hang up your apron, you find yourself wondering if he'll actually come back. And wondering, more dangerously, if you want him to. The next night, you arrive at midnight and the door is locked like it should be. You let yourself in, tie your apron, and try not to notice the small disappointment sitting in your chest. Of course he didn't come back. He was tired, vulnerable, probably embarrassed about showing up like that. He's a celebrity with a crisis to manage. He doesn't need a midnight kitchen and a chef who asks too many questions. You're halfway through julienning daikon when you hear the soft knock. He's there when you open the door, hood up, mask on, eyes exhausted but somehow lighter than yesterday. He's carrying a bag. "I brought coffee," he says. "I didn't know if you liked coffee, but I figured midnight kitchen work probably requires caffeine." You step aside to let him in. You figured right. He sets the bag on the counter and pulls out 2 cups from the cafe 3 blocks over, the one that stays open all night for the bar crowds and insomniacs. The expensive kind, the single origin pour-over that costs more than most people's lunch. "I didn't know how you take it, so I got it black and brought..." He produces cream and sugar packets from his pocket like a nervous magician. "Black is perfect," you say, accepting the cup. The first sip is exactly what you needed, bright and clean and honest. "What are we making tonight?" he asks, already moving toward the sink to wash his hands. "We," like it's already decided that this is a thing that happens now. "Kimchi, the long way, my grandmother's recipe." His eyes light up. "Really? I've never made kimchi from scratch." "Most people haven't. It's a 3-day process, but we'll start the first stage tonight. Come here." You walk him through it, the washing and salting of the Napa cabbage, the precise measurements of coarse sea salt between each leaf. Your hands work side by side, and you notice things. The way he's careful with the vegetables, gentle. The way he listens to instructions with complete focus, like every word matters. The way he stopped watching the door, stopped tensing at every distant sound. "You're good at this," you observe. "At following directions?" "At being present. A lot of people, they're physically here but mentally somewhere else. Checking phones, worrying about the next thing. You're actually here." He's quiet for a moment, his hands stilling in the salt. "It's easier to be here than out there right now." "The photos?" "The photos. The rumors, the meetings with management where everyone talks about damage control and managing the narrative, and no one asks if I'm okay." He resumes working, his movements a little rougher now. "My bandmates are supportive, but they're also stressed because this affects everyone. Our comeback got delayed, endorsement deals are in limbo, and I still can't tell the truth." You hand him another head of cabbage. "How's your cousin's daughter?" He looks up, surprised that you remembered. "Better. The treatment is working." "That's all that matters." "That's all that matters," you repeat. "Remember that when the noise gets too loud." You work in silence for a while, the kitchen filled with the whisper of salt and cabbage, the distant hum of the city. It's peaceful, in a way that feels rare, precious. "Why did you buy this place?" Jin-ha asks eventually, "This restaurant specifically." You consider the question, your hands moving through familiar motions. "I trained in French cuisine, spent 3 years in Paris, worked in a Michelin-starred kitchen. Everyone said I was on track to open my own place, something elegant and expensive and impressive. But I was miserable. All performance, no soul. Then I came home to visit my grandmother, and she brought me here. Mrs. Shin's cooking reminded me why I fell in love with food in the first place. It wasn't about impressing anyone. It was about feeding people, nourishing them, making them feel safe and cared for. You smile at the memory. When Mrs. Shin mentioned she wanted to retire, I used every penny I'd saved and bought this place. Best decision I ever made. Even though it's not impressive, there's no judgment in his voice, only curiosity. Especially because it's not impressive. This place doesn't need to be anything other than what it is. Neither do I. He's watching you now with an intensity that makes you aware of the space between you, the way the kitchen light catches in his dark eyes. I wish I knew what that felt like, he says quietly. Maybe you will, you tell him. Maybe that's why you're here. You finish the first stage of kimchi prep and pack the salted cabbage in 2 containers. Jinha insists on washing all the dishes, and you don't stop him. There's something meditative about the way he works, careful and thorough. When everything is clean and stored, he pulls out his phone and hesitates. Would it be okay if I played something? What kind of something? Just something I've been working on. I don't usually share unfinished things, but... He stops, looks around the kitchen. This space feels safe. Okay, you say softly. He pulls up a voice memo and presses play. The kitchen fills with sound, his voice unadorned and raw, singing in Korean over a simple guitar melody. You don't understand all the words, but you understand the feeling. Loneliness, longing, the ache of being seen by everyone and known by no one. When it ends, the silence feels heavy with things neither of you knows how to say. That's beautiful. And sad. You finally manage. I wrote it last week. During all of this, I can't record it, can't release it. It's too honest, but I needed to get it out. You can sing it here. Anytime. This kitchen keeps secrets. He smiles, and this time it reaches his eyes. Thank you, chef. Go home, Jinha. Sleep. I will. But he doesn't move toward the door immediately. Same time tomorrow? You should establish boundaries. You should keep this from becoming a routine, but you find yourself nodding. Bring better coffee next time. That cafe is overrated. His laugh is genuine, surprised. Any recommendations? I'll text you. You pull out your phone, and he does the same, and you exchange numbers like it's the most natural thing in the world, like you're not handing pieces of yourselves to a near stranger, like this isn't already becoming something you can't quite name. After he leaves, you stand in your kitchen and realize your midnight sanctuary has shifted. It's no longer just yours, and somehow you don't mind. The pattern establishes itself over the next week. Midnight arrivals, coffee that gets progressively better as he works through your recommendations, quiet work side by side. Some nights you teach him techniques, the proper way to hold a knife, how to tell when oil is ready, the secret to perfect rice. Other nights you simply exist in parallel, each focused on their own tasks, the silence comfortable and undemanding. You learn things about him in fragments. He has a younger sister studying abroad in London. He's allergic to shellfish, but nobody believes him because he smiled through a variety show where he ate shrimp. He taught himself guitar during trainee days because the practice rooms were only free after midnight. His real dream, before the company shaped him into an idol, was to write film scores. You learn things about you too. You're an only child. Your grandmother taught you to cook before you could read. You came back from Paris after your mother got sick and you were with her at the end. You hate waste, so you're meticulous about using every part of an ingredient. You keep a notebook of recipe ideas that you'll probably never make. On the 8th night, he arrives at the door with his hood down and no mask. That's brave, you observed, letting him in. He shrugs. It's 3 a.m, and I'm tired of hiding. In general or just here? Both, either. He runs a hand through his hair, a gesture you've learned means he's wrestling with something. The rumors died down a bit. My cousin's daughter finished her treatment and went back to Busan. The articles moved on to some other celebrity scandal. But I've been thinking about what you said about not needing to be impressive. You start the rice cooker, pull ingredients for doenjangjjigae. And I don't know how to do that. Be unimpressive. Everything in my life is calculated. What I wear, what I say, how I smile, who I'm seen with. Even my music now, it has to fit a concept, appeal to the broadest possible audience. Nothing can be too weird or too personal or too honest. Except in here. Except in here. He agrees. He moves to the prep station without being asked.
Except in here. Except in here. He agrees. He moves to the prep station without being asked. Starts cleaning the mushrooms you set out. This is the only place I feel like myself. The only place I can be quiet. You slice tofu, your knife precise and steady. What does quiet Jinha want that loud Jinha can't have? He's silent for a long moment, his hands stilling over the mushrooms. When he speaks, his voice is barely above a whisper. To write music that matters more than it sells. To sleep past noon without guilt. To walk through a market and buy vegetables without being photographed. He pauses. To sit in a kitchen at 3 a.m. with someone who sees me as just a person. The weight of that last sentence settles between you like snow. I do, you say quietly. See you as a person, I mean. I know. That's why I keep coming back. You finish the jjigae in silence, the broth bubbling rich and earthy. When you ladle it into bowls, you make a decision that feels both reckless and inevitable. You turn off the industrial lights and flip on the smaller ones over the corner table, the one by the courtyard window. You bring the bowls, rice, banchan, and sit across from him like you're not in a restaurant kitchen, but in someone's home. Tell me about the film scores, you say. What kind would you write? His face transforms, becomes younger somehow, unguarded. Small stories, quiet ones. Like this actually. Someone cooking, someone else watching, the sound of rain, of knives on cutting boards, of steam rising. He picks up his spoon, sets it down again. There's a filmmaker I admire, Lee Yoo-jin. She makes these tiny, intimate films about ordinary people. I've watched all of them maybe 100 times. I wrote something once thinking about her work, just messing around, but let me hear it. Now? Why not now? He pulls out his phone, cues something up, and suddenly the kitchen is filled with music. It starts with piano, simple and searching, then layers in subtle strings, the sound of rain, a heartbeat rhythm underneath. It's beautiful and melancholy and feels exactly like midnight in a place where you're safe to be sad. When it ends, you realize you've been holding your breath. Jinha, that's extraordinary. He looks down at his bowl. It's not what Eclipse does. It's not commercial. There's no beat drop, no hook for radio. It's honest, you counter. That's rarer. That's harder. Nobody wants honest. They want the performance. I want honest. The words are out before you can stop them, heavier than you intended. I mean, what I hear in your music, the real stuff you play here, it matters more than whatever manufactured thing your company wants you to be. He meets your eyes and something shifts. The air feels thinner, charged. Why are you doing this? Letting me come here, feeding me, listening to my problems. You don't know me. For all you know, I could be exactly what the articles say. Are you? No. but you didn't know that. You consider this, spooning broth that's almost too hot. My grandmother used to say you can tell everything about a person by how they treat food. People who are careless with ingredients, who waste, who don't pay attention, they're usually careless with people too. But you gestured toward his careful hands, the way he's eating slowly, savoring. You're grateful, present, gentle. Those things matter more than whatever story the internet is telling. You see a lot. Hazard of the profession. You can't cook for people without understanding them. He sets down his spoon. What do you see when you look at me? Right now, in this moment. It's an unfair question, intimate and dangerous. You should deflect, joke, retreat to safer ground. But the late hour and the warm food and the way he's looking at you make you honest. I see someone who's tired of being a fantasy, someone who wants to be real but doesn't know if anyone will like the real version. Someone who's brave enough to sit in a stranger's kitchen at 3 in the morning and hope for something like friendship. You pause. I see someone who's lonely. His breath catches. Yes. I know lonely. It's why I bought a restaurant with midnight hours. Are you lonely now? The question hangs between you, delicate and dangerous. Less, you admit. Less these last couple of weeks. He smiles and it's sunrise quiet, dawn tentative. Me too. You finish the meal in comfortable silence, and when the bowls are empty, you both move to clean up without discussion. The choreography of it has become familiar. The way you move around each other in the kitchen, the rhythm of washing and drying and storing. It feels domestic in a way that should frighten you, but doesn't. At the door, he hesitates again. This has become his pattern, this lingering, like leaving costs him something. I have a free day tomorrow. Well, tonight technically. I don't have to be anywhere until evening. Would it be okay if I came earlier? Maybe around 10 p.m.? Yeah. I thought maybe, I don't know, maybe I could help with dinner prep? See what the restaurant is like when it's actually alive?
You should say no. Should keep this contained to the safe hours of midnight when the world is asleep. But you find yourself nodding. Okay, come at 10, bring an extra apron, and prepare yourself. Dinner service is nothing like midnight. His smile is bright enough to hurt. I'll be ready. After he leaves, you sit in your quiet kitchen and wonder what you're doing. This can't last. He's a public figure with a career to protect, and you're a chef who values privacy and peace. Eventually, the real world will intrude, and this fragile thing you're building will shatter. But for now, for this moment, you let yourself imagine what tomorrow might look like. And you fall asleep on the subway home with a smile you can't quite explain. He arrives at exactly 10 p.m., nervous energy rolling off him in waves. The restaurant is in full dinner service, your staff moving through practiced chaos, tickets printing, plates flying, the air thick with steam and garlic and motion. You're at the pass, checking each dish before it goes out, and when you look up and see him standing by the door in a baseball cap and mask, looking completely overwhelmed, you can't help but laugh. Second thoughts, you call over the noise? He shakes his head, determined. Where do you want me? You set him up on prep, the same station where you work during midnight hours. But now it's frantic and loud, and there are 4 other people moving around him. You show him what needs doing, how much, how fast, and then you abandon him to it, because the orders are piling up and you have 3 mains to plate. He's terrible at first. Too slow, too careful, too overwhelmed by the pace. But he doesn't quit. He adjusts, speeds up, finds gaps in the movement where he can work without being in the way,
And somewhere around the 2-hour mark, you glance over and see him moving with the kitchen instead of against it. His hands sure and quick, a small smile on his face despite the chaos. When the rush finally eases, you call for family meal. Your staff gathers around the prep counter, exhausted and starving. And you dish out the staff stew you made earlier, the one that's too ugly to serve but tastes like home. Jinha ends up squeezed between your sous chef Minho and the prep cook Sarah. And he's laughing at something Minho said, his shoulders loose, his guard completely down. Sarah notices first. She goes still, her eyes widening. Wait, are you? Hungry, Jinha interrupts smoothly. Very hungry. This stew is amazing, chef. You catch his eye across the counter. A silent question. He nods, barely perceptible. Everyone, this is Jinha. He's helping with prep while he's between projects. Be nice to him or I'll make you do the kimchi fridge. The threat works. Your staff is too tired and too grateful for the meal to ask questions. They accept Jinha's presence with the easy nonchalance of kitchen workers who've seen stranger things. And just like that, he's folded into the rhythm of your space. Another body in the choreography. After family meal, the dinner service winds down. A few final tickets, desserts, coffee. Your staff cleans their stations and filters out one by one until it's just you and Jinha and the quiet settling of a restaurant after hours. That was insane. How do you do that every night? You get used to it. The chaos becomes meditative in its own way. I don't think I've ever been that focused in my life. No time to think, just do. He rinses the station, wipes it dry. I loved it. You were good. Slow at first, but you found the rhythm. Yeah? He looks pleased, boyish. I tried not to be in the way. You succeeded. We start the final kitchen check, walking through each station to make sure everything is clean, safe, ready for tomorrow. He follows, watching. How was it, being around people? I know that's usually complicated for you. It was fine. Better than fine. Everyone was too focused on the work to care about who I am. He pauses. Or maybe you have really good taste in people. Both can be true. You finish the check and lock up the dry storage. The kitchen is clean and quiet now, ready to sleep until morning prep. But neither of you moves toward the door. Do you want tea? You ask. Always. You brew it properly this time, bringing water to the exact right temperature, timing the steep precisely. You carry 2 cups to the corner table, the one that's becoming yours and his, and he sits across from you like he belongs there. I got an email today from Lee Eugene, the filmmaker I told you about. Your eyebrows rise. The one you admire? Yeah, her agency reached out to my company months ago. They're doing a project, something small and independent, and they wanted an OST from me. My company turned it down because it's not commercial enough, doesn't fit our brand. He stares into his tea. But I guess she's persistent. She emailed me directly, asked if I'd be interested in meeting with her, just to talk about it. What did you say? I haven't responded yet. I wanted to talk to you first.
The casualness of that statement lands like a stone in still water. He wanted to talk to you first. Like your opinion matters, like you've become someone whose counsel he seeks. Why me? You ask carefully. Because you understand quiet things, small things. You left Paris and Michelin stars to cook in a tiny neighborhood restaurant. You get what it means to choose the thing that feeds your soul over the thing that impresses people. He meets your eyes. Should I meet with her? Will your company be angry? Probably, yes, definitely. Will it jeopardize your career with Eclipse? He considers this. Maybe, I don't know. We have a contract for 2 more years, but if I start taking projects they don't approve, it could create tension. What does your gut tell you? that I'll regret it forever if I don't take this meeting. His voice is quiet but certain, that maybe this is the thing I've been waiting for. Permission to be something other than what everyone else wants me to be. You sip your tea, giving the moment the weight it deserves. Then meet with her. Take the meeting. See what she's offering. Maybe it leads nowhere. Maybe it changes everything. But you'll never know if you don't show up. And if my company drops me, then you'll figure out what comes next. Artists find ways. You're talented, Jinha, really talented. Not just the performance stuff, but the real thing underneath that doesn't disappear just because you're not in a boy band anymore. He's quiet for a long moment, his thumbs tracing the rim of his cup. I'm scared. Of course you are. You're choosing the uncertain thing over the safe thing. That's terrifying. You lean forward slightly. But you're already doing it, aren't you? Coming here, being yourself, writing music that matters instead of music that sells. You've already started choosing the real over the impressive. This is just the next step. What if I fail? What if you don't? He laughs, shaky but genuine. You make it sound so simple. It's not simple. It's probably going to be messy and complicated and difficult. But Jinha, you're already exhausted from being someone else. At least this way, if you're tired from being yourself. He reaches across the table and takes your hand. It's the first time he's touched you beyond accidental brushes in the kitchen, and the contact is electric, grounding. His palm is warm, his fingers careful. Thank you, he says. For the kitchen, for listening, for seeing me. You squeeze his hand once before gently pulling away, aware of lines you're approaching, maybe crossing. Email her back, set up the meeting, and then come tell me how it goes. I will. He stands, reluctant as always to leave. Same time tomorrow? Midnight? Unless you need prep help again at dinner. You smile. Let's stick with midnight. Dinner service with you is great, but midnight is when we do our best work. Our best work, he repeats softly, like he's testing the phrase, seeing how it feels. Yeah, okay, midnight. After he leaves, you sit in the quiet restaurant and look at your hand, still warm from his touch. This is becoming something. You both know it. Neither of you has named it yet, but it's there, growing in the spaces between the cooking and the conversation and the comfortable silence. You tell yourself you'll be careful. You tell yourself this can stay contained, just a friendship, just two lonely people finding solace in each other's company. You're lying, but you're not quite ready to admit it yet. The next 2 weeks unfold in a rhythm that feels both extraordinary and inevitable. Jinha meets with Lee Yoo-jin, and when he tells you about it at midnight, that night his eyes are bright with something you realize is hope. She wants him to score her film, a quiet story about a woman returning to her childhood home after years away. The budget is small, the timeline is tight, and his company will almost certainly refuse to approve it. He's going to do it anyway. I talked to the other members of Eclipse, explained the situation. They're supportive, worried about what it means for the group, but supportive. And your company? I'm meeting with them next week. I'm going to be honest. Tell them I need this. Ask them to work with me. He pauses. And if they won't, I need to think about whether this is where I want to be. You don't say anything, just keep working beside him. Sometimes the best support is presence, not advice. The midnight meetings continue, but they've shifted slightly. There's more touching now, casual and constant. His hand on your shoulder when he reaches past you for a bowl. Your finger is brushing his when you hand him a knife. The space between you getting smaller, more charged, harder to ignore. Your staff has started teasing you about your midnight assistant. Minho raises his eyebrows significantly when he finds 2 coffee cups by the sink in the morning. Sarah asks pointed questions about whether you're seeing anyone, with a smirk that suggests she already knows the answer. You deflect, but poorly. The night before his meeting with the company, Jinha arrives at midnight with tension written in every line of his body. He doesn't speak, just moves through the kitchen with too much force, chopping with unnecessary violence, his jaw tight. "Talk to me," you say finally. "I don't know what to say." He stops, his knife poised above the cutting board. "I'm about to potentially destroy everything I've worked for since I was 15 years old. 10 years of my life gone because I want to write music for a film nobody will see. Is that what you think you're doing? Destroying things? Isn't it?" You take the knife from his hand, set it down carefully. "Look at me." He does, reluctant. "You're not destroying anything. You're choosing something. There's a difference." "It doesn't feel different." "I know." You lean against the counter beside him, your shoulders touching. "When I left Paris, everyone told me I was throwing away my career. My mentor didn't speak to me for 2 years. People I thought were friends called me a fool." You pause. "And maybe they were right in some ways. I gave up prestige, recognition, the kind of success that looks impressive on paper. Do you regret it?" "Not for a second." You turn to face him fully. "Because I chose life over performance. And every morning when I wake up and don't dread the day ahead, I know I made the right choice." He's watching you with an intensity that makes your breath catch. "What if I choose this and I'm still miserable?" he asks, quietly. "What if the problem isn't the company or the contracts or the image? What if the problem is just me? Then you'll figure it out. But Jinha, I've watched you for weeks now. You're not miserable here. You're not miserable when you're writing music you care about, or helping with prep, or eating stew with my staff. You're only miserable when you're pretending to be someone you're not. I don't know who I am without the pretending." "Yes, you do. You're the person who shows up at midnight to dice onions. You're the person who writes music that sounds like rain and heartbreak. You're the person who eats my cooking like it matters." You reach out and straighten the collar of his shirt, a gesture that feels more intimate than you intend. You're already yourself. You just need to give yourself permission to be that person in daylight too. He catches your hand before you can pull it away, holds it against his chest. You can feel his heartbeat, rapid and unsteady. "What are we doing?" he asks, his voice barely a whisper. "I don't know," I admit. "I think about you," he says. "Not just here, all the time. Between schedules, during rehearsals, when I should be sleeping, I think about your hands when you cook, the way you listen, how you make everything feel less impossible." Your heart is racing now, matching his. "Jinha, I know this is complicated. I know I'm complicated. My life is complicated." He's still holding your hand, his thumb tracing small circles on your palm. "But this, being here with you, it's the only thing that feels simple. You should step back. You should establish boundaries, protect yourself, remind him that you're from different worlds and this can't work." But instead, you find yourself saying, "You feel simple to me too." The space between you evaporates. He leans down and you tilt up, and then his forehead is resting against yours, his breath warm on your lips, and neither of you is moving, but everything has changed. "I don't want to mess this up," he whispers, "whatever this is." "Then don't rush it," you whisper back. "We have time." "Do we? Tomorrow I might blow up my entire career. Next week the media might find out I've been coming here. Next month..." You pull back just enough to meet his eyes. "Next month, we'll still have midnight. We'll still have this kitchen. The rest we'll figure out as it comes." He exhales slowly.
Nods. Okay. You spend the rest of the night working in comfortable silence, but everything feels different now. The air is charged with possibility and promise, and the weight of things unsaid. When he leaves at dawn, he kisses your forehead so gently you almost wonder if you imagined it. You didn't. The next evening, your phone buzzes during dinner service. A text from Jingha, just 3 words. It went badly. You can't respond, not with tickets piling up and your hands full of hot pans, but your stomach twists with worry. The service drags on forever, and when it finally ends and your staff filters out, you're pulling out your phone to call him when you hear the knock at the back door. He's there, and he looks wrecked. Not crying, but close. Exhausted and wrung out, and something else you can't quite name. Come in, you say, and he does. You don't ask questions, just guide him to the corner table and start cooking. Comfort food, the kind your grandmother made when the world felt too big. Rice, soup, braised eggs, banchan. You work quickly, efficiently, channeling your worry into motion. When you set the food in front of him, he stares at it for a long moment before speaking. They said no, he says finally, to the film score. They said it's off-brand, that it sends the wrong message about my priorities, that the group has to come first. He picks up his spoon, sets it down. I told them I was going to do it anyway, that I needed this, and they said if I did, there would be consequences, not just for me, but for the entire group. What kind of consequences? Fewer promotional opportunities, potential contract renegotiations. Basically, they'd make everyone suffer for my choice. He laughs bitterly. So I'm trapped. Either I give up the thing I want, or I hurt the people I care about. You sit across from him, your heart aching. What did he say? I asked for time to think. They gave me a week. He finally takes a bite of food, mechanical and joyless. But what is there to think about? I can't hurt my members. They're my brothers. They've been with me through everything. Would they want you to give this up for them? They'd say no. They'd tell me to do what makes me happy, but that doesn't change the reality of what it would cost them. You're quiet for a moment, watching him push food around his bowl. Can I tell you something my grandmother told me when I was trying to decide about Paris? Please. She said that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for the people who care about you is to be happy. Because when you're miserable, everyone around you feels it. They carry your unhappiness whether you want them to or not. You lean forward. Your members can feel that you're drowning, Jingha, and maybe losing some promotional opportunities is worth it, if it means getting you back. Or maybe I'm just being selfish. Maybe this whole thing, the midnight kitchen, the film score, the idea that I can be something other than what I've been, maybe it's all just a fantasy. It's not a fantasy. You're sitting here. I'm sitting here. That food is real, and so is the music you've been writing, and so is the meeting you took with Lee Yu-jin. You reach across the table and take his hand. You're not fantasizing an escape, Jingha. You're building a life. He laces his fingers through yours, holding on like you're the only solid thing in his world. I'm scared. I know. What if I make the wrong choice? There is no wrong choice. There's only the choice you can live with. You squeeze his hand, but I think you already know what you need to do. He closes his eyes, and when he opens them again, there's something resolved there, steel beneath the exhaustion. Yeah, I think I do. He stays for hours, and you talk about everything except the decision he's facing. He tells you about growing up in Gwangju, about his parents who wanted him to be a lawyer, about the first time he heard music that made him want to create something beautiful. You tell him about your grandmother's restaurant, about learning to cook on a stool because you were too small to reach the counter, about the first time you made someone cry with your food, and realized it was a gift. Somewhere around 4 a.m, you end up on the floor of the kitchen,
backs against the walk-in cooler, shoulders pressed together, talking about everything and nothing. "If I do this," he says quietly, "if I take the film project and deal with whatever comes after, will you still let me come here?" Of course. Why wouldn't I? Because things are going to get messy. The media will start digging into my life, trying to figure out where I've been spending my time. They might find out about this place. About you. The thought sends a chill through you, but you keep your voice steady. "Then we'll deal with it." You say that like it's simple. It's not simple, but it's not impossible either. You turn to look at him. "I'm not going anywhere, Jingha. Not because of media or rumors or whatever storm comes. You found something here, and I paused, choosing my words carefully. I found something too. I'm not giving that up without a fight."
He shifts to face you fully, his hand coming up to cup your cheek. "What did you find?" You say simply. "I found you." This time when he kisses you, it's not a question. It's soft and careful and tastes like green tea and possibility. His other hand finds the back of your neck, gentle and grounding, and you let yourself sink into it, into him, into this moment that feels both fragile and inevitable. When you finally pull apart, he's smiling, really smiling, the kind that transforms his entire face. "Okay," he says. "Okay? I'm going to do it. The film score. I'm going to tell the company yes. I understand the consequences, and I'm doing it anyway. And then I'm going to figure out what comes next. And I'll be here, you promise? Midnight. Always." "Midnight," he agrees. "Always." The next week unfolds like a storm. Jinha tells his company his decision, and the fallout is immediate and brutal. Eclipse's comeback gets pushed back 6 months. 2 endorsement deals fall through. The internet explodes with speculation about discord in the group, about Jinha being difficult, about the beginning of the end. Through it all, he shows up at midnight. Some nights he's okay, focused and present, helping with prep and talking about the film score he's working on. Other nights, he's barely holding it together, and you just feed him and let him exist without needing to be anything other than tired. The media does eventually start asking questions about where he's been spending his time. There are paparazzi photos of him entering and leaving buildings in your neighborhood, though thankfully they haven't pinpointed the restaurant yet. His company releases a vague statement about personal time and creative projects. The speculation intensifies. Your staff figures it out completely one night when a celebrity gossip show airs while you're doing prep. There's footage of Jinha, and Sarah pauses mid-chop and says, "Is that your boyfriend?" You consider denying it, but the kitchen has always been a place for honesty. It's complicated. Minho snorts. It's not that complicated. He shows up at midnight, you make him food, he looks at you like you hung the moon. That's pretty straightforward. He's also a famous idol whose career I might be destroying, I point out. If his career can't survive him being happy, it wasn't worth having, Sarah says firmly. Then more gently, "We like him, chef. He fits here. And you smile more when he's around." That night, when Jinha arrives, you tell him what your staff said. He's quiet for a moment, then laughs. "They're not wrong. I do look at you like you hung the moon." He steps closer, his hands finding your waist. "Because from where I'm standing, you kind of did." And that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever said. True though. You kiss him, soft and slow, because you can now. Because sometime in the last month, this stopped being complicated and started being simple. 2 people finding each other in the quiet spaces. 2 people choosing each other, despite the noise. The film score takes 3 months. You watch him pour himself into it, see him come alive in ways you didn't know were possible. Some nights he brings his laptop and plays you fragments, watching your face for reactions. You learn to hear what he's trying to say in the music, the story under the story. Lee Yoo-jin comes to the restaurant once, wanting to meet the person who's been feeding her composer through the long nights. She's in her 50s, kind-eyed and sharp, and she watches the way Yoo and Jinha move around each other with a small smile. "You're good for him," she tells you while Jinha's in the bathroom. "I've worked with a lot of artists. The ones who last are the ones who have something real to come home to." "He's good for me too," you admit. "I can tell. You both have that look, like you found something you didn't know you were missing." When the score is finished, Jinha plays it for you in full at midnight in the empty restaurant. You sit in the corner table, the one that's become yours, and let the music wash over you. It sounds like rain and like cooking and like two people learning to be quiet together. It sounds like finding home in unexpected places. When it ends, you're crying, and so is he. "It's perfect," you tell him. "It's us," he says. The film premieres at a small festival in Busan 3 months later. Eclipse is in the middle of their delayed comeback, finally, and the schedule is brutal, but Jinha gets permission to attend the premiere. He asks you to come with him. "Are you sure? It'll be public. There will be photos." "I'm sure. I want you there. I want everyone to know that the person who helped me make this is important to me." So you go. You wear a simple black dress, nothing flashy, and you stand beside him on the red carpet while cameras flash and reporters shout questions. He holds your hand the entire time, and when someone asks who you are, he smiles and says, "Someone important." The film is beautiful, quiet, and aching, and his score elevates it into something transcendent. When the credits roll and his name appears, the audience applauds and you watch him try not to cry with pride. At the after-party, you meet the cast, the crew, other filmmakers who want to talk to him about future projects. You watch him navigate these conversations with growing confidence, no longer the exhausted idol who stumbled into your kitchen 6 months ago, but someone who knows what he wants and how to ask for it. Later, on the train back to Seoul, he falls asleep with his head on your shoulder. You stayed awake, watching the dark countryside blur past, thinking about all the ways life can surprise you. How a man in a hoodie appearing in your kitchen at midnight can become this: a partner, a collaborator, a person who feels like home. Your phone buzzes with a text from Minho. "I saw the photos. You looked happy. Good." You smile and type back, "I am." The media has a field day with the photos, of course. Speculation runs wild about who you are, how long you've been together, what this means for Eclipse. Jinha's company releases a brief statement confirming that he's in a relationship and asking for privacy. The internet loses its collective mind. But in your midnight kitchen, none of that matters. He still shows up, still helps with prep, still eats your cooking like it's the best thing he's ever tasted. The pattern you built together holds steady despite the noise outside. Eclipse's comeback is successful, the kind of success that feels earned rather than manufactured. The music is different, more mature, more honest. In interviews, the members talk about growth and change and learning to prioritize happiness alongside ambition. Jinha is careful never to take credit, but you can hear his influence in the way they talk about their work now. And when the comeback cycle ends and there's finally a break in the schedule, Jinha shows up at the restaurant at 10 p.m. instead of midnight. "Dinner service?" he asks hopefully. You smile and toss him an apron. "Prep station 2, we've got a full house tonight." He fits into the rhythm seamlessly now, no longer clumsy or overwhelmed, but confident and capable. Your staff treats him like one of them, ribbing him when he's slow, praising him when he nails a technique. During family meal, he sits between Sarah and the new prep cook, laughing at jokes and stealing extra banchan when he thinks you're not looking. After service, after everyone else has left, you find him at the corner table with his laptop and headphones. "Are you working on something new?" you ask. He pulls off the headphones and smiles. "Lee Yoo-jin introduced me to another filmmaker. Wants to talk about another project, smaller budget, longer timeline. And," he pauses, looking suddenly shy, "I was thinking maybe this one could have a different feel, less melancholy, something warmer, like what it feels like here."
You sit beside him, close enough that your shoulders touch. "What does it feel like here?" "Like home," he says simply. "Like the place I didn't know I was looking for until I found it." You kiss his temple, soft and easy. "Then write that. Write home." And he does. Over the next months, between eclipse schedules and comebacks and your restaurant's steady rhythm, he writes music that sounds like midnight kitchens and shared meals and two people learning to build a life together in the quiet spaces between the noise. Some nights you cook and he writes. Some nights you both cook. Some nights you do nothing but sit and talk and exist together in the warm light of your corner table. The restaurant thrives. Word gets out that a certain idol sometimes helps with prep, and while it brings more customers, it also brings the right kind of customers, the ones who value the food and the atmosphere over the novelty. You have to hire more staff, extend your hours slightly, but you never give up your midnight time. That remains sacred, yours and his.
A year after he first stumbled into your kitchen, Jin-ha gets his first major film score commission, a bigger project with a real budget and a theatrical release. The company that produced it wants him to compose for 3 more films. Eclipse signs a new contract with their agency, one that includes provisions for solo projects and creative freedom. Jin-ha negotiates specific time for film work, and the company agrees. "It's not perfect," he tells you while chopping vegetables at midnight. "There are still compromises, still moments when I have to be the idol instead of just myself, but it's better, sustainable." "And are you happy?" you ask. He sets down the knife and turns to face you fully. "I'm so happy, I sometimes can't believe it's real. The music, the group, this place." He cups your face in his hands, gentle and sure. "You, especially you." "Especially me?" "Everything good in my life now traces back to the night I walked through that door. You fed me, but you also saved me, gave me permission to want something different, to be something different." You lean into his touch. "You saved yourself. I just gave you a kitchen and some space. You gave me everything." You kiss him, slow and deep, and the kitchen holds you both in its warm silence. Outside, Seoul hums with its endless motion, millions of people rushing towards something, away from something, searching for something. But in here, in your midnight sanctuary, you've both found what you were looking for. Later, curled together on the floor against the walk-in cooler in the quiet hours before dawn, Jin-ha asks, "Do you ever regret it? Leaving Paris, choosing the small thing over the impressive thing?" "Never," you say immediately. "Do you regret the film score? The mess it caused?" "Not even a little." "Then we made the right choices." "The best choices," he agrees. And in the morning, when he leaves and you lock up and head home to sleep, you carry with you the certainty that some of the best things in life come quietly, not with fanfare or headlines or grand gestures, but with midnight arrivals and shared meals, and the slow, steady building of something real in the spaces between the noise. Your nightly K-romance, whispered in your ear. This is how it begins. This is how it continues. This is how two people find each other in the quiet after the stage and build something that lasts.